See, regarding the today we'll discuss the concept related with schedules of the constitution. Now be very clear when you understand this concept of schedules of the constitution. Try to understand that. If you have noticed our constitution, or those who have read PM Bakshi, you can see that our constitution is a written document. We know that our constitution is a written document in the sense that it is codified or systematically arranged. Our constitution is systematically arranged into parts, and in each part you had seen articles, and then along with these parts we have schedules also to the constitution. So be very clear what you mean by schedule of a constitution. Students have doubt regarding the concept schedule. Now regarding the schedule of the constitution, when we talk about in many of the it's basically when you talk about schedule from your polity point of view, try to understand that it is a detailed explanation. Schedules provide detailed explanation for one or more articles mentioned in the constitution. Be very clear that schedule is a detailed explanation of one or more articles of the constitution. Try to understand that the articles, we have more than around 450 articles. When the constitution came into existence, we had only 395 articles. Since our constitution is codified or systematically arranged, many of the articles were inserted in between. Especially when Panchayat were introduced, we have inserted article, then municipality, like that. So many, whenever we made amendment and new articles were inserted, it was placed in its appropriate place. So that when you check PM Bakshi, you can't see any articles beyond 395. The limit is between 1 and 395. It does not mean that we have only 395 articles. We have more than 450 articles. Okay, especially with this, when the cooperatives were added under part 9b, there were a lot of articles into it. So just have an idea. They will not ask you how many articles are there, but just have an idea. We have more than 450 articles in our constitution. Again, I think it is more because now recently GST Council, this 101st Constitutional Amendment Act also added new articles. We have discussed that regarding GST Council. But just try to understand what the role schedule play. What is mentioned in the schedule is nothing but a detailed explanation of one or more articles which is mentioned in our constitution. So when you study schedule, just see that which article's explanation is this schedule. Just have an idea. Again, they will not ask you this schedule is dealing with which article. Rather from the schedule point of view, they will ask you from the examination point of view the subject matter of each schedule. Be very clear what first schedule talks about, what second schedule talks about. From the examination point of view, till now, they only asked about the subject matter of a particular schedule. So regarding the schedule, just have an idea, it is nothing, but in simple manner, it is a detailed explanation. Schedule is covering detailed explanation of one or more articles in our constitution. Now, regarding from the prelims point of view, when you study schedule, try to understand that there are around 7 to 8 questions asked from schedule. Recently in 2014, they asked a question on 10th schedule. So we'll see that regarding 10th schedule. So today, first I'm focusing only on the 8th schedule. Okay, so whenever you study about schedule, what you need to know is that regarding schedule, first try to understand what is the subject matter of that particular schedule. What is the subject matter of that schedule? Okay. Second is that in which way we can amend this schedule. Amend means how can you make changes to the schedule? Try to understand that we have around 12 schedule as of now. Be very clear, it's a fact, but it's a very important fact. We have as of now, we have 12 schedules. Okay, but be very clear from the examination point of view, be very clear. When the constitution came into existence, we had only 8 schedules. But later on 4 more schedules were added. So presently we have 12 schedules. From your prelims point of view, be thorough with all the 12 schedules subject matter. That is very important. And how can you make changes to these schedules? So in some of the schedules, we can make changes through we don't call that changes as C, that changes is not C. Try to understand that. It's again, even I'm a bit deviating from the topic. We can make changes to our constitution, or we can make amendment to our constitution through a simple way and through a special majority under Article 368. There are a lot of provisions in the constitution where we can make changes to the constitution without using constitutional amendment, especially in relation to Article 1 and Article 4, especially in relation to union and territory. So there are a lot of cases in which you can make changes to the constitution, but it does not require, it is a simple procedure, the parliament can pass it by simple majority, you can make changes. And there are some cases in which we talk from the Article 368 point of view, that under Article 368, it talks about the procedure to amend our constitution, and that requires special majority, 2/3 majority. Okay. Now, when you study schedule, see that how you can make changes or amendment to the schedule. In some cases, you can do it through simple majority. In some cases, in some schedules, you can make changes only through Article 368, that is by using a special majority, by passing special majority. Okay. So these are the things what is important from your prelims point. So when you study schedule, be very clear that what is the subject matter of that schedule, how you can make changes to that schedule, and is there any, what are the articles which, see, I already told you, schedules are detailed explanation of a particular article or more than one article. So what are articles are there in relation to schedule. So when I will discuss schedule, I will tell you which article is important. If there are some schedules, articles are not important, in some schedules, articles are important. We will discuss that. Now, in regarding, so I am just want to discuss one of the most important schedule, that is 8th schedule. Okay. 8th schedule. So what is the subject matter of 8th schedule? The subject matter of 8th schedule is the languages of the constitution. So 8th schedule discuss about the languages of the constitution. Now be very clear regarding the language of the constitution. Okay. Now regarding this languages, be very clear. As of now, again it's very important, as of now, there are 22 languages. There are 22 languages recognized by the constitution. So how many languages are there? 22 languages. Now you see, it is difficult for you. Now as part of the subject matter, you need to know all the 22 languages. But see, I'll tell you the trick. Instead of knowing the 22 languages, just go through it. Just go through the 22 languages, but I will tell you what are languages from important from your examination point. How you can answer a question if they asked a question, which all languages are mentioned in the 8th schedule of the constitution. So be very clear, under the 8th schedule, constitution have recognized certain languages. How many languages are there? Around 22 languages are there. How many languages were there when the constitution came into existence? When the constitution came into existence, there were only 14 languages. When the constitution came into existence, in 1950, there were only 14 languages. It means that 8 more languages were added to the 8th schedule. 8 more languages were added to the 8th schedule. So you know the subject matter. Subject matter talks about the language. Subject matter of 8th schedule is language of the constitution. Now you tell me, so already 8th schedule have been changed or amended. Now you need to know in which manner 8th schedule have to be amended, whether through a simple majority or through under Article 368, that is a special majority, that is 2/3 of the members present and voting. So be very clear that if you want to make changes to the 8th schedule, it can be done only through under Article 368. This is very, very important. So you can make changes to 8th schedule only through a procedure mentioned in the constitution, that is under Article 368. Okay, so this is very important. So from the 8th schedule, you know the topic, the subject matter, you know in which way we have to make amendment to the constitution, that is under Article 368. Now you know that there were only 14 languages, later 8 more languages were added. So these 8 languages you need to be very clear. Regarding the 8 languages, through 21st Constitutional Amendment Act 1967, Sindhi were added. So Sindhi, be clear. Sindhi was not there earlier in our when constitution came into existence. Sindhi was not recognized, but through constitutional amendment, 21st constitutional amendment have added Sindhi as a language. So now under this 8th schedule, Sindhi is there. Then later through 71st Constitutional Amendment Act 1992. So don't worry, they will not ask you question which Constitutional Amendment Act added Sindhi, but just have an idea, Sindhi is there as a language, is there in our 8th schedule of the Constitution. It was amended, means it was added after the commencement of the Constitution. Then in 1992 through 71st Constitutional Amendment Act, 3 more languages were added. This is very important. Konkani, Manipuri and Nepali. So Konkani, Manipuri and Nepali, and be very clear, Nepali as a language is recognized by our Constitution under 8th schedule. So Nepali is very, very important, be very clear, and it was added in 1992. But from the constitutional amendment point of view, this constitutional amendment is very important. This constitutional, it's a recent constitutional amendment. See, as of now, we have only 101st, the latest constitutional amendment is 101st Constitutional Amendment Act, which introduced goods and service tax. So this is our recent constitutional amendment, 92nd Constitutional Amendment. So be very clear with it. So 92nd Constitutional Amendment Act, what they have done? They have inserted 4 new languages to the 8th schedule of the Constitution. So what are those 4 languages? This is very important. Out of those 22 languages, Nepali, be very clear with it, these 4 languages. So out of 22 languages, what is more important for you is these 4 languages added by 92nd Constitutional Amendment Act. The languages are Bodo, Dogri, Maithili and Sadali. UPSC can ask question. Which all languages were added by 92nd Constitutional Amendment Act 2003. So Bodo, Dogri, Maithili and Sandali, they are very important from your 8th schedule point of view. Okay, so be very clear, and very interesting thing, if you look into the other languages, see all the regional languages which you know is there under the 8th schedule. You know Assamese, Bengali, Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada, Kashmiri, Konkani, we already know regarding that. Then Malayalam, the Manipuri we know that regarding added, Marathi, Oriya, Punjabi, Sanskrit, so note down Sanskrit is there, Sindhi, Tamil, Telugu and Urdu. So Urdu is also recognized by our Constitution. So Urdu is recognized, so it was there when it came into existence, the Constitution when it came, Urdu is there. Now what is the language which is missing here? English. English is not there in the 8th schedule of the Constitution. So be very clear with that. Okay. So in the 22 languages, English is not there. So they can confuse you. Say, I always tell my students, okay, it's always when you study about facts, when you want to know so many facts, just note down the prominent member which is missing. So in this case, the prominent language missing in the 8th schedule is English. So out of these 22 languages, from your examination point of view, note down that these 4 languages are very important because it was recently added, and languages like Nepali is there, okay, and what is missing? All the regional languages are there, what is missing is English. So that's regarding the 8th schedule of the Constitution. I'll explain all the schedules, but regarding 8th schedule, be very clear, the subject matter talks about language of the Constitution. How you can amend it? 8th schedule can only be amended through a constitutional amendment under Article 368. How many languages are there presently? 22 languages are there, that is very important. Earlier, how many languages were there? Earlier, 14 languages were there. That's it. Thank you.